Josephine. Only you know who the real ones are, 'cause you see.
And it really is amazing that you could join us for a conversation that matters with Harvey James coming up just in a little while. First of all, this is Paul Dunn live in Singapore. That's the place you can see right there. That's not exactly the view from my office. And actually, I'm not in the office this morning. I'm actually at home for this particular conversation, because what tends to happen is we tend to make too much noise when we're having these conversations that matter. So wherever you are, it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome you. And in a moment, we are going to get live to Harvey, who I presume is in his normal Sydney this morning, but to make you feel even more welcome and perhaps to make you feel even more comfortable, let me just give you a little outline of where we are going in our time together this morning so that you feel comfortable with that. So Harvey up there we go with Harvey James, and we're going to be looking at some very interesting things as we go through our time together. Specifically, we're going to categorize them under what we call the power of small, which I think will be very fascinating for all of us as we go through that. Then what we're going to be doing is having a look at some things that are well, it's actually not new, but a great business initiative, which I think you'll enjoy. Then towards the end of our time, we're getting into a very special thank you. Don't you dare miss that. And then right at the end of our time together, we're going to be giving you a very exciting way forward. But in order that you can maximize the value that you get from our time together this morning, just do this. We are going to make this as interactive as we can. And so you'll see the little Q&A sign up there. Your Q&A button is either on the left at the top or the bottom at the right, or somewhere on your extremity of your Zoom window. So do get onto that button and tell us where you are this morning and the kind of business that you're in. That would be very, very lovely and would enable us to kind of personalize some of the things that we will be getting into. So do that. There you go. That's an invitation. You're there somewhere in that globe, and presumably you're open for business. So jump in on that Q&A. And let us know a little bit, just so that we can make this even more relevant for you, which allows me, talking of relevant, to say good morning to Harvey. Harvey James, good morning and welcome to a conversation that matters. It's really, really great to have you here.
Thanks, Paul.
And did I get it right? Are you in Sydney this morning?
Yes, I am. Yes, it's sunny, but a little bit brisk, so that's why I've got my jacket on.
Okay, well, I'm up in the equator, you see, so or close to the equator, so I get to dress like this most days, which is really, really cool. By the way, I was thinking this morning, how do you introduce someone like you? And I figured, well, I could let you talk a little bit about you, which obviously we're going to do in just a little moment, or alternatively, what I could do is go and find out some information about you. So I figured I'll go and find out some information about you. Oh, now you're worried, right? Did I actually find those pictures? You know, that sort of thing, right?
That's right.
So let's have a look at this. And you should see that up on the screen right there. That's Harvey, the director and lead coach, as you can see, at Enterprise Coach. And there you see some stuff about why working. Now, I know where your eyes are going on this, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. Down the bottom there, you'll see this great stuff for extra peace of mind. Some of Harvey's qualifications, a BA, an honours, actually, in business studies, an advanced diploma in financial services, as in financial planning, plus some other little things about him. But when I looked at it, I thought, oh my goodness, look at that. As seen on CBS News, Fox, NBC, and ABC. And Harvey, when you visited us in Singapore, which you did, how long was that now? You didn't tell us about that. So I've got to start by asking you, what is that all about?
I found a method to get cited in the major media, particularly in the US, but it kind of stretches into Australia just by benefit of getting noticed. And yeah, my business idea has been cited on those websites, which gives me permission to say that I've as seen on.
Wow, that is astonishing, and I hope that that gets extended to your clients as well. Talking of which, let's talk about, because I know it's very important, and I'm sure everybody gets this as well. Joining us, it's very important to kind of niche and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit from your perspective of where you niche and something about the clients you serve and how Enterprise Coach, meaning you, gets things done differently?
We look after service-based businesses and professional firms and help them look at ways that they can help everybody within the business love coming to work every day. And
not just enjoy, but actually love. Is that right?
Absolutely love coming to work every day.
That's fantastic.
It's something that I've become very passionate about, seeing, working with lots of businesses over the last 15 or 20 years. And I think I'm a big believer in playing to your strengths. So by helping people actually identify their strengths and outsource their weaknesses as much as possible, I believe that they can really create wonderful things within the business and totally change the business culture.
Is this whole concept that we hear about, and you and I talk about sometimes, this whole concept of flow, you know, in the sense that when I went to school, the things that we got a C in when we brought the report card home, you know, mum and dad said, you got to work harder at the C's, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What you seem to be saying is outsource the C's. Is that a way of thinking about it?
Absolutely. I think life is too short to focus on one's things you're not as strong on, shall we say. Mm-hmm. So I'm a great supporter of working with your strengths and maximizing your productivity and your efficiency and your enthusiasm by focusing on that. And having people that are better at the stuff that you don't do, whether it's in your team or outside of your business, really focus on getting that stuff done. And together, I think if everybody's coming to work to help each other get in flow and identify how they can do things differently so that everybody's enjoying their time a whole lot better while they're at work, I think that that 8 or 12 or 15 hours a day that you're spending in the office can be far more enjoyable and far more productive as well.
And of course, that's great. And when I was talking about your background, you mentioned financial planning and stuff like that, or I mentioned that. So does that mean that many of your clients are in that particular niche as well, and you're bringing that additional skill to bear on the things that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's certainly room in the financial services industries to change how they're approaching things and to do things a bit differently. And
why is that? Well, I mean, why should service-based, let's say, and professional businesses do things differently?
There seems to be a bit of a disconnect between public opinion and their clients and how they're delivering what is effectively fabulous service and a service that everybody needs. So in that regard, they by thinking about how they connect with those clients differently and how they can change that experience, I think it's the single best way for them to turn on their head all of the negative press that's been happening in the last few years. By actually getting involved in my clients' businesses, I look to help them identify their strengths and connect with their goals again so that they can develop their skills and be far more effective than they would otherwise be.
And I know that you work both with individuals and with companies. What's the difference there? And maybe if it's okay, I mean, I talk about some of the successes that you've had there as well.
With individuals, it's very much about identifying where that individual visualizes themselves getting to and helping them be more effective in getting there and just more focused. With one client in particular, I've assisted him to communicate a little bit differently and develop that personal power and effectiveness so that he was able to secure a new job with a substantial national role with a considerable salary increase as well.
So he's a happy camper, as they say.
He is a very happy camper, and we see some fantastic shifts with him and how he's doing things, and we're now working on how he can position himself as a leader within the business and the industry as well. So enjoying that very much.
What about with companies though? Is that like a different? I mean, are you working more with individuals within the companies or as teams? How does that work?
It's more of a team education process where I use some of the psychometric tools such as talent dynamics or emotional intelligence, to measure where they are right now, measure their skills, and actually show them that by having the right people doing the right jobs with the right tools, they can transform how they're doing business. And then I get involved with the business to help in the implementation of that. Because I find that without somebody to get in there to be a business champion to help drive that, it's a bit like going on a run and not stretching afterwards. You're not giving yourself a chance to recover and help your body to grow and move through that. And I've had some fantastic results with that process. One IT company in South Australia has I help the CEO to really connect with his the reason why he gets out of bed in the morning and his why, and helped him to communicate that and be more comfortable communicating that to his staff. And it was such a fantastic connection that we saw. There were tears of happiness from him and several people in the team. So it was very, very powerful for me being able to see that happen for them, and made me very happy.
That's a fabulous story. You know, that's that sort of opening part thing that you were talking about, which in a sense is kind of counterintuitive, right? When people are working in that financial vein, because it's supposedly all about the numbers, but it's actually not. But talking of that stuff you do with the testing, you mentioned, for example, talent dynamics and trying to figure out where people are and stuff. Is that frequently a surprise? You know, when people go, "Oh my God, is that me? Is that really me, or is it I've known that all along, and thank you for telling me"? Where does that work out?
They do, but I find that people like to be able to see something on paper that validates what they've kind of guessed or wondered about themselves before. Yeah. And the wonderful thing about that tool is that you're able to be very focused on outcomes around it. It's not all it's not a tool that just gets shoved in a drawer afterwards. It's very practical and very easy for people to understand, and for it to be adopted within the team, so that it can be part of the culture and how people communicate and allocate work within that team. So it's it's not just fluffy stuff. It's very, very practical. People love that.
And getting back to that South Australian example, thank you for sharing it. A very, very powerful one about meaning and purpose. With that thread in mind for everybody joining us now, is it okay if I slightly embarrass you? Is that okay?
Okay then. Okay. I feel safe.
You know what? That was really cool, because you don't have any option, because I've got all these skills, right? So here. So let's.
I trust you.
Thank you, Harvey. That's great, and we're going to talk a little more about the role of that as well. So let me see if I can get that up just for a second, just to have a look at this. Let's do this. Okay. So, Harvey, one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the way that you are now articulating what it is you do. Everyone joining us now, this is actually what Harvey's been doing. You can see some of the numbers there. I think that latest dollar figure there was for the Nepal earthquake one. But have a look here. Look at this. This is very non-traditional. This is not, Harvey proudly supports, XYZ charity. This is very specific things, quite tiny things, but tiny things that are having massive impacts, in much as the same way that the shifts, Harvey, that you might be making with people are kind of tiny but having massive impact. And Harvey, what I wanted you to see on that, let me just go back to it one more time there. How does it feel to know that, take a look at that number, 8,458 direct giving impacts to date. How's that feel?
Look, it helps me to feel that I'm not just making an impact for my clients, but making a larger impact on the world around me. I believe that it's important that we leave the world in a better place than when we arrived in it. And this is a way that I can do that and actually feel comfortable that 100% of what I'm contributing is going to the causes that are important to not just me, but my clients as well.
And when was it that you kind of latched onto that? Right? When was it that we met? I've got a feeling it feels like a long time ago, but it's not actually all that long ago, is it?
No, it's probably a year and a half at this point.
Right.
But I was blown away when I heard you speak about this first. I think that it gives me an opportunity to make my clients the hero of the piece and give them the opportunity to participate in that. It's not something that I kind of actively promote before I get involved with a client, but I like to get to know the client and then choose the calls based on what I've kind of perceived they find important in the world before I select that.
Well, in fact, one of the things, if we were doing this in the B1G1 Business for Good office this morning, we would see up behind us, we would say, and you know, because you've been there when you visited Singapore. So it's got, you remember those three words up there, impact and habit. In other words, it should never be about the money. It should always be about the impact you're creating. Habit means not a one-off thing. It's there as we build our businesses. And then the final piece, of course, is connection. And that's not, some people go, oh, that's connection with the marketplace, which I guess is important, but the most important connection, and it's kind of what you and I have been talking about up until now anyway, is that connection with self. Is that how you see it as well?
Yes, I think that it's being clear on what's important to you and being able finding a way of expressing that and taking action on it, most importantly.
Well, you're one of the people in the world who takes the most massive action on that in a tiny, tiny way, but it has a huge impact. And I think that some people joining us now might have actually received one of these. Now, normally in B1G1, when it comes to sort of talking about the giving, as you say, we do it kind of covertly almost with what we call gratitude certificates. But Harvey has taken the whole gratitude concept to a brand new high. Let me show you this. Those of you who haven't had one of these might want to get involved with Harvey. So just so that you get one of these, actually, have a look at this. You can see there a little hand on the screen. Have a look where that's going to go. Have a look at this. It's kind of interesting. That is just amazing. Explain to people, Harvey, how that happens. Like, how would someone get one of those, for example?
So it's directly linked to an activity that I would deliver to you as enterprise coach.
And so whenever you do this, something.
Right. And when you're kind enough to pay my invoice, then I make a contribution on your behalf, and I send them a thank you video to confirm that it's happened and appreciate their contribution.
And what's the response? What happens? I mean, because that doesn't happen in business, right?
No, that's right. Look, I've had some fantastic responses, and people have really gone out of their way to thank me for the difference that's made, and known that it's not just the experience or the transformation that they get from working with me, that we're actually doing something bigger together. And I think that really gets people. So
if you take the gentleman, for example, in South Australia that you were talking about, who gets up now, is very clear about his why, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, up comes one of these things. I mean, already he's had the, oh my God, look at that, but then you get the, oh my goodness, look at this one, right?
Yeah, and it's a way that I enjoy communicating it differently, just so that there's a bit of wow factor for for my clients.
I think a bit of a wow, that would be an awesome wow. I tell you what, because I know that you wanted to share some of the inside things about this with the people joining us. This is where we're going to have a look at that initiative, which is called Buy One, Get One, or B1G1. And it is all based on what we call the power of small, very tiny impacts, very tiny givings, but having massive impacts. And it's also based on creating stories. And the way you might think about that, and Harvey kind of alluded to it, is you can actually structure things so that when this happens, which might be when you send an email, when you, whatever it might be, or when you have done something great with a client, then you can make sure that something great happens too. Just imagine for the moment the feelings that are going to be created when you do that. And the interesting thing is, right, Harvey, that you're always in total control of what's happening. Yeah, this is not, you know, you lock it in place and it's not you proudly supporting something. You can really have that control. So, for example, when you make a sale, when you send an email, when you complete a project, when you celebrate a win, when you celebrate a birthday, whatever it happens to be, and whenever you want, then you can make something great happen. And how about this? Your giving in that situation can be from as small as 1 cent. And one of the unique things, Harvey, you mentioned, is that when you do that, 100% of what you give goes to where you want to go, or want it to go, in the B1G1 Business for Good model. And you've always got total choice. Have a look at this. You've got nearly 1,000 high impact projects to work with. And Harvey, when you were in the office, you saw some of the people involved in making that process work, and creating multiple impacts and creating multiple stories, and importantly, creating real connection. I want to focus you for a minute on the story side of this, because that's a way of thinking about this. It's about creating stories. Like, say, suppose, for example, you were a cafe serving coffee. Wouldn't it be great if every time someone you did that, someone in need received access to life-saving water, particularly when you consider that 700 million people around the world don't have the gift of water? Or when a fashion brand sells a product, wouldn't it be great if they chose that, and their choice, that a disadvantaged girl would receive education? Or Harvey was talking about professional service firms. So whereas we think that accountants might be boring and lacking in those soft skills sometimes, how about this? When you dealt with the accountant, that a family in need might receive a goat to generate a sustainable income. But so these are some of the thousands of stories. But of course, the main issue here is not other people's stories, but your stories. And what B1G1 does is give you the power to create those compelling, connecting stories. And just by doing what you normally do, but not just creating the stories, but creating, as you've already seen, and you'll see a little more about this as well, an extraordinary difference just by doing what you normally do. So if we look again at Harvey, I hope you can see that, Harvey. That's a website that you might know. Excuse me, that's yours. There we go. So there's the CBS, Fox, and NBC and ABC. Now this might be a little uncomfortable because I'm sort of jumping up and down this website, but there you go. Here's how Harvey does things differently. This is what makes them great, the Harvey great, the why, and so some of the solutions that Harvey provides. But have a look at this as we go. Oh, very interesting to get some referrals down there. And there's some of the things, some of the people, including B1G1 Business for Good, that Harvey works with. But let's go back up here for a second and click on the Giving tab. And what we see is this, and have a look here. And now here's the widget. We've zeroed in on this thing called the B1G1 widget on Harvey's site. So what you're seeing there is that we are actually tracking in real time the impacts that are being created. And if we wanted to look at that another way, perhaps in a bigger picture, here's the Businesses for Good map. Those little orange dots right there, just imagine you being a part of this. Those orange dots right there are the B1, or clusters of B1G1 projects around the world, those nearly 1,000 projects. And the blue dots are clusters of B1G1 businesses around the world. But we're going to break apart one of those clusters right now. And what we're going to do is go in the top right-hand corner, and we are going to search for a particular business. Oh, look at that. It begins with an E. This could be you, Harvey. So we click there on Enterprise Coach. Have a look. We find, let's have a look at oh, there you are in Sydney. Look, see, we can track you now. Watch this. We click there, bang. There's Harvey's Giving right around the world. And what's so cool is we can now move, or you can now move the mouse over that, and you're able to see the impact of the giving in a very different way. I'm not sure, Harvey, whether you get to do that very often. Most people don't, but it's kind of interesting when you see it. What's the impact as you see that?
It refreshes why I'm in business and why I'm doing what I'm doing, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And so you basically, you accumulate everything each month, and then bang, you just go through and make sure it happens. The feelings around that are quite hard to describe, and that's why I want people joining us to have a look at this.
Our giving through B1G1 is attached to different products and services. So, for example, with every book sale, we fund a stationery kit for a student.
When we take on a new client, we're hoping to change their business for the better. For our smaller clients, we give a goat, and that's creating a sustainable income for a family. And if it's a bigger business or it's a bigger project, then we give the gift of sight. So we give a cataract operation in India.
Every time a person gets a hair braid, 30 children in Africa get clean water. And so far we've helped over 100,000 children in Africa.
And it's so exciting to be able to tell our clients that, because of working with me, they've, funded a teacher's wages for a week.
When we give them a gratitude certificate or tell them that their purchase has meant that someone else gets education, it just opens up so many doors.
When I was, passing people the registration badge, during a conference, and I said, thank you for being here today. Actually, as a result of you attending, we're sending a child from Cambodia to go to school for 1 year. And this guy said, this is one of the most beautiful things I heard in the last year.
If a customer knows that every time they come and visit Miss Fox, they're helping to change the lives of someone else, I think that is quite awesome.
It was exactly the heart that our business needed. We knew it was there, and B1G1 gave us a way to make that true.
So with B1G1, the giving that we give on a regular basis is very highly leveraged.
If everyone's doing a little something and there's thousands of businesses all giving a cent here or there, that really builds up to something quite spectacular.
When you know that you are connecting to something so much bigger than yourself, it gives you the joy of waking up in the morning and you just cope with anything that happens. So signing up, well, it's the best thing that I ever did for business. And I'd certainly encourage everybody to give their heart to business.
We love it.
I love that. I love that little "we love it" at the end. And Harvey, I made two promises earlier on. One was for a special thank you, and the other one was for quite a surprise. So let me just deliver on the first part of that promise, which is specifically for everybody that's joining us now. And I want to thank you, but I want to thank you in a different way. Through what we call a gratitude certificate. Let me just blow that up for you so that you can get a sense of what's happening here. So, and you, of course, did not realize that this was going to happen this morning, much like with Harvey's clients. They didn't get a sense of what was going to happen until they got that lovely video. But have a look. When you clicked on that button to join us, then what happened is that 17 children got access to life-saving water for a day. Just contemplate for the moment what that means, and contemplate for the moment what that would mean if we all could do that. And you're going to see in a minute just how easy it is for all of us to actually do that. You can see right there that this is a matter of believing, just like Harvey, that every business has the power to change lives by integrating giving into what it does. And so thank you from all of us for making that difference. Now, if and this is where the surprise comes, and then there's something else going to happen after this as well that is going to take you back, Harvey, to a special moment in time. So if what you've seen here has inspired you, if you'd like to be a part of this initiative, if you'd like your business to be making huge differences, just like Harvey, from tiny actions, if that's what you would like, in other words, if your answer to that is yes, then we have a couple of special surprises for you. And this is where you do need to take some notes. So just be sure that you take some notes on this. So one of the things that's going to happen when you join us as a result of Harvey's invitation, then we're going to give you a totally risk-free guarantee, which means that if, as once you're in B1G1, if it's not everything that you think it should be or that you thought it was, then guess what? We just refund your membership straight away. We're also going to give you an extra 3 months of B1G1 free. Harvey, you didn't know any of this. This is a surprise for you as well. And how about this? But you feature in this, Harvey, as you'll see. And you get, because obviously now, since the initiative went live in 2010, we've had a lot of experience in making it work with organizations. So we'd love to work one-on-one with you to personalize it and bringing all of that experience to bear on your implementation of this. So here's where you need the notepad. So here's what we need you to take a note of. See, that says Harvey J. See, Harvey, I told you you feature in this, and you can write that upper and lowercase however you want, but make sure you write it because it's going to be valuable to you right now. So here's what you do. You go to b1g1.com, and I do hope you will go there. And you run down the first page, and at the bottom it will say, I'm a business owner. So go ahead and click on that page. And then at some point, as you read through, this might add to the inspiration, and you'll say, you know what, this sounds really, really great. And when you do that for the very first time, as from last week, then you're going to see something that people around the world have not seen before. And now you can actually, whereas before there was like a one-size-fits-all in B1G1, now you can actually select the size of your business. And then although you get everything that's there to get, it means that you can get involved. It's now easier, if you will, excuse me, for you to get involved in B1G1. Now, here's where the Harvey J comes in. You'll see a little thing there called a referral code. Now, there's no money changing hands in all of this, but this helps you get those things that I mentioned earlier on. That is to say, the 3 months extra, the guarantee, and the time with me. And all you do where you see the referral code, you just put in Harvey J right there. Very, very simple, right, Harvey? So hopefully that's easy for everybody. By the way, if it's not easy, then all you do is just drop me a note, Paul at b1g1.com, and obviously you might have some questions around how it works, why, all of those sorts of things, and we'll do our very best to answer those questions and to personalize this whole thing for you. But ahead of all that, Harvey, I just want to take us back to a very important time in B1G1 and a time when you and I first met. Actually, those two times are different. But so 2007, when the idea was first mooted, then the founder, Masami Sato, actually produced a movie. I want to show you that movie now. It's a movie, Harvey, that you saw we first met. And it's particularly relevant, I think, now, not just for taking us back, but for actually taking us forward and imagining just what can be. So come with me, and just for our final 2 minutes together, just imagine.
Buy one, give one. A simple idea, sharing the joy of giving. Every second, every day, in every way.
Do you remember seeing that for the first time, Harvey?
Yes, I do indeed. It's still pretty powerful.
It really is, but I think that where that leads me to is a very important place, and that is, to just express this, to express my thanks to you, and because what you're doing is you're not imagining it, you're actually making it happen. That's what's happening. And not only that, we've seen some examples of that this morning. And so we want to thank you for that. But more importantly, or as importantly, Harvey, we also want to say thank you for being with us on a conversation that matters, because by doing that, then what you've done is actually leverage the impact that you're already having by showing people who are joining us what is possible, so that they can use their imagination as well to do wonderful, wonderful things, just like you're doing. So from all of us at B1G1, from all of the B1G1 clients around the world, and on behalf of those people joining us, Harvey, thank you. It's just been awesome hanging out with you and hearing something about the great things that you've been doing. Make sure that your day is a great one, and everybody joining us too, as you flow through your day with these insights from Harvey James. Harvey, thank you. It's been awesome.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.